Kia ora te kapa, ko beni aho. Nau mai, kai te tipu me benis. Now I'm coming at you today with something a little bit special. I'm going to introduce you to the actual growing system that we use to grow everything here at Benny's. Something that we've been developing and using for about the last 6 years. And it's all about transforming your garden into an oasis. And in doing so, we'll show you how you can grow absolutely anything organically. Now, usually after an episode of Grow with Benny's, we'd bring you Regrowth with Adam Mensch. But as we know, Adam Mensch recently morphed into Santa and is currently at the North Pole battling against the forces of good and evil. So needless to say, we need a new host. But as for right now, I couldn't be happy to be with you because I'm Benny Ward. Subscribe if you're on board. Let's hit the intro, get after it, and learn how you can grow absolutely anything organically on this episode of Grow with Benny's.
Save your pennies, grow with Benny's.
Now, 6 years ago, we were living next door to a gentleman who was an organic gardener. Up until that point, I thought it was just something that hippies did. Now, he really opened my eyes to the fact that it could be done. But given the fact that we were expecting our first child at the time, our son, who's now 6, I became passionate about the fact that it was something that I should be doing. I wanted to leave the planet in as good a shape as I could for the next generation. So I decided to go organic. Now, initially, I cut out all synthetic fertilizers and all pesticides. I just cut them out. I decided to make my garden go cold turkey. Now, it wasn't long before I started to see my yields diminish, my plants become more vulnerable to pest and disease, and suddenly, it was I who felt like a turkey. So I decided to do a series of experiments. Now, I'm not talking about the sort of experiments that you do when you're at university, late at night, in the dorm after a few beers. I'm talking about experimenting with all the different methods that I could find and working out which ones were best for me and how I could use them together to create a system. I wanted to create a system of gardening to transform your garden into an oasis, an organic and sustainably integrated system. So I took all the methods that I could find and I split them into 5 key categories. So what are those 5 key categories? They are the key to understanding how you can grow absolutely anything organically. So what are they? There are 5, and I'm going to give them to you now in this episode of Give Me 5.
Give me 5, give me 5, give me 5, 5, 5.
Now, the first thing to consider when growing anything, but in particular when growing organically, is soil. You need to know what kind of soil your plant wants to grow in, and how do you improve your soil to get to that point. The second thing to consider is propagation. What's the best method of propagating what you want to grow? Some things grow very well from a seed, some things grow well from a cutting. It's important to know which method is best for your crop. The third thing to consider is liquid feeding. Now, this is all about what you feed it, when you feed it, and how much you feed it. The fourth thing to consider is companion planting. What does your plant like to grow with? Now, this could be to maximize your space. It could be to provide protection for your crop. It could be to actually improve the quality and flavor of your crop. And the last thing to consider is crop rotation. What are you going to grow in that same area next? Certain things like legumes, beans, peas, etc., they help to fix nitrogen into the soil. So if you're growing something like a brassica, which needs a lot of nitrogen, it's a good idea to grow a crop of nitrogen fixers before you grow your crop of heavy nitrogen feeders. So essentially the key to growing absolutely anything organically is to consider your soil, your propagation method, your liquid feeding, your companion plants, and your crop rotation system. And if you do that, you won't have as much ups and downs as what this turkey had. Well, folks, that's about all for this episode of Grow with Benny's. Very interested to find out in the comments what you want to grow and how we're going to grow it. Because after all, the best way to continue to grow is to leave a like and a comment down below. I'll catch you next time on Grow with Benny's.
Seen it, the work.